What's up, guys? Welcome back to another edition of Tucker Speed product review and how to install. I finally have got my hands on one of the new Legends Revo-A monoshocks for 2018 and newer Softails. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this shock and how easy these things are to install. First, just remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And somewhere along in this video, I'm going to hide a one-time use coupon, so stay tuned, keep an eye out for that. It's one time, one guy gets it, and that's it. So stay tuned. I'm going to tell you about this shock. Check it out. Yeah, so I have the shock here in my hand, and kind of my first just overall impression of it right out of the box is it's super well built and put together. Comes in black. Black is the only option available. It doesn't really matter on a Softail. You don't really see much of it, but the finish of it is really nice. I know one thing that Legends, claims is that, and I can just tell you right now, the shaft on this thing is a lot beefier. This, is going to be a lot more rigid, not have as much flex in it compared to stock. As far as adjustments go on this Revo-A, you've got rebound adjuster. I think there's 7 clicks, from slow to fast on the rebound. You got your preload adjuster. The kit comes with a cool little preload wrench. It's included in it. The other big thing about the Legends shocks is they have a lifetime warranty. So Legends is usually really good if you have any issues about either repairing it or issuing a new one. And they've been a really great company to work with as far as that type of stuff. I mean, not that I've had a lot of warranty issues, but in that rare case, they are a good company and stand behind their products. So, like I said, overall, I'm super impressed with this thing. We're going to jump into the bike and start getting the old shock ripped out and this one thrown in and get everything set up. All right, jumping into this install, first thing is we just got to get the seat off, get access to that rear shock. So let me get this thing out of the way. This shock really is pretty easy to install if you've got a way to hold the bike up and support it without the rear shock underneath it. So you can see under here, first step, we got to remove this little cross member. A couple bolts here to get that out of the way. All right, got that cross member out of the way. We need to get the bike lifted up in the air, get the rear wheel off the ground. All right, got the wheel in the air, bike weight off of the shock. So the top shock mount is this 3/4 inch hex right here, right at the back of the fuel tank. Let's go ahead and loosen this one for now. The lower shock bolt, I'll let you jump down in there and you can take a look at it. Has a pinch bolt that keeps everything tight that we need to loosen up. Like I said, that's kind of a hard bolt to get, you got to get down in there, but between the fender, just using a normal Allen key. This bolt doesn't need to come all the way out. Just need to loosen it up a few turns to release the tension on the head of the main bolt on the bottom shock mount. All right, that's loose. We'll go in and get this one. This is a Torx T50. You reach in, there's a hole there in the side of the swing arm. So I'm gonna actually lower this down a little bit and put a little bit of weight back on the tire so it's not actually pulling on I'll make that bolt and just find that sweet spot where it kind of releases the tension off the bolt. Come out of there. Got the top bolt out. Kind of release the tension off the bottom bolt. Got it out. All right, so once you get the top and bottom bolts out, it's kind of a tight squeeze to get it to come up past this little seat bracket. So you can just pop this seat bracket, these two T27 screws, maybe. You just kind of loosen them, lift that up, it lets it come out a little bit easier. So we got the stock one out. This is a 2018 Lowrider. This shock is about an inch taller than the Lowrider, so we are going to pick up about an inch of ground clearance. On the Lowrider, that shock comes out pretty easy. On some of the bikes that have the remote adjuster knob, you're probably going to have to remove the battery and a few other pieces to get that remote adjuster out of the way. But at this point, we're ready to start going back in with the new shock. All right, so I got the old shock out. I'm gonna go ahead and drop the new one into place. It goes in with the rebound adjuster knob on the top side, facing out. Sneak it underneath the seat bracket there. Gonna get that in place. You know, because it's an inch taller, we're gonna have to kind of adjust the height of the bike to kind of line up the shocks there. I'm gonna go ahead and just put some Loctite on the bottom bolt. Also gonna put just a little bit of anti-seize on the shaft of this thing. Go in and get the bottom bolt started. Got that one just started and left loose. Again, a little bit of Loctite. I like to put a little anti-seize on these as well. So I got that top bolt just snug at the moment. I'll torque it here in just a second. I'm gonna go ahead and just snug up the bottom bolt. All right, so I'm just gonna throw a torque wrench on these top and bottom shock mount bolts. Hit this bottom one at 75 foot-pounds. Hit this upper one was at 80 foot-pounds. There is a torque spec on this pinch bolt. It's gonna be one of those ones that's really hard to get a torque wrench on, so I'm just gonna give it a good feel. If you really wanted to put a torque wrench on it, you're probably gonna have to pull that fender off and out of the way. I'm just gonna go ahead and put the screws back in on this seat mount and get those locked down. I put a dab of Loctite on these. Kind of the next step after that is that crossmember brace, but I think if you put that crossmember brace in, it's really hard to set the preload because it kind of covers up this preload adjuster. So what I might do is I might get my preload set and then come back and put that crossmember in last. So our next steps are going to be to set this shock up properly. With the shock, it comes in the instruction sheet. It has some recommended starting settings as far as sag and where to set this preload clicker. So we'll just get it set up to Legends baseline settings, and then we'll test ride the bike and see how it feels, and then make any adjustments after that. All right, so to get this shock properly set up, I'm gonna first set this preload adjuster knob up top. The base setting on this shock is fully counterclockwise. That's the #1 position. It has 7 positions. They're riding about 50-50 solo to 2 up. So we're gonna go a little bit firm on the setup for solo so that it's still in a good spot for 2 up riding. So we're gonna set this rebound adjuster to 4 clicks. So we're all the way counterclockwise. We're gonna go 4 clicks out. So we're gonna start there at 4. And then from there, we're gonna set our preload So I'm gonna grab a tape measure. I'm gonna get a measurement. Right now, the bike is still on the jack with the wheel in the air. And on this bike, I'm gonna measure center of the axle to the top of my fender strut. So right now I'm sitting at 14.5 inches. So we're gonna write that down. 14.5 inches unloaded. So then we're gonna set the bike down and then have the rider sit on it and get another measurement there. All right, so I got the bike sitting on its own weight. I'm gonna have the rider sit on it and we're gonna take another measurement. So we are now sitting at 13.5 inches. So right now our sag is at 1 inch. This shock, the base settings are 3/4 of an inch to 1 1/4 inches, but I want to go on the firm side of that. So I'm actually going to add some preload tension to this on the spring to try and bring that measurement down to 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and take the seat back off, turn the preload adjuster up the shock body to increase that preload. So we get this question a lot, you know, pertaining to sag and preload and how to set all this up properly. And when we're looking at this, Legends spec is 3/4 of an inch to 1 1/4 inches of sag. So that measurement is basically the difference between our unloaded measurement compared to our fully loaded measurement. And in our situation here, we are currently at 1 inch and we actually want to go down to 3/4. So we need to stiffen up the spring so that when the rider sits on it, it squats even less. So we have to turn the adjuster knob, and to increase that preload, we're going to turn the adjuster knob towards the spring, which is actually going to start to compress that spring a little bit more. So we got to go about 1/4 inch. So I'm gonna go ahead and just turn this. So I'm just gonna throw a little mark on this thing just to give myself a reference on how far I've gone. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this up. Probably about I'm gonna just start at a 1/2 turn and then we'll recheck our measurement and go from there. I lied. We're gonna go a full turn. So there's 1 full turn. That preload adjuster may actually turn a little easier if you lift the bike back up in the air, but we made it work that way. I'm gonna throw the seat back on. We'll recheck our measurement and see if we've gone too far. All right, so got the rider weight. Give it a little bit of a bounce, let it come back to a relaxed position. Recheck that. So as of right there, we're at 13 3/4. So that puts us at about 3/4 of an inch of sag. We were at 14.5 unloaded. So now we are at 13 3/4, putting us at 3/4 sag, which is on the firm side. That way, if he has a passenger on there, it's going to sag just a little bit more, but probably still work out overall in a good spot there. So that's how to properly set it up and get everything done. I'm going to pull the seat back off, put that cross member on, and get it all buttoned up. So that's it. We got the cross member put back in, throw the seat back on, and that's it. Like I said, that's pretty easy install. Main thing is just having a way to support the bike while you disconnect the shock, making sure it's good and secure and it's not going to go anywhere, and being able to move it up and down to find alignment on those 2 shock bolts. So pretty easy install, a really nice product. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to hit us up online, shoot us a message on the website, on Instagram, YouTube, wherever. Thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned for the next video.